Here we go, guys. All right. Welcome into the After Schrock. Glad you could join us here. I'm going to give everybody a couple minutes, or a couple seconds, I should say, to get connected to the show here, and then we can get started. I'm going to get my monitor connected over here so I can actually watch questions as well. One person connected. That's me. It's like that feeling when you're the only person watching yourself. All right. So, first off, I want to put out the call. If you have any questions about anything that was covered on the show, if you want me to go over anything in more detail, or questions about things I didn't cover on the show, feel free to ask them in the comment section below, and then I will go through those comments here periodically and answer any questions that you've got. So we'll go that way. If I'm talking about stuff that you don't want to hear about, let me know in the comment section. You won't get flamed. It helps me, actually, because I don't want to bore you. So if you don't want to hear about Bitcoin, I won't talk about Bitcoin. If you don't want to hear about NVIDIA, I won't talk about NVIDIA. If you don't want to hear about Trump, trust me, we get phone calls in the service center. I can't say what they say. Well, I could, but I'm not going to. Where it's like, hey, why don't you stop beeping Donald Trump's beep? Click. And Eli was like, what was that? Like, he had no clue. He's like, why are people calling us to flame us about Donald Trump? I don't understand. I'm like, yeah, I know. I got to back off the politics a little bit. It's hard to do. Everything is political these days. All right. Hello, Mitch. Good to have you on the show. Thanks for being here, Deborah. There's Camille. Blake, welcome in. Top fan Roger. We're here with you in the cup of coffee. Ready to go. Good morning, top fan Mary. Deborah, top fan. I like the donut. Looking good. Here with Fur Kid. Fur Kid. I was like, what is Mike typing? What? Fur Kid. Mitch, top fan, your audio is way louder now than the first hour. Why? Because I'm using a different microphone. So this is the direct mic coming off of my webcam as opposed to this microphone here. So I have to actually adjust my volume level. So if we're too hot, I can drop them down a little bit. What happened this morning, honestly, was I dropped them down for the After Schrock, and then when I started the show, I forgot to turn them up. And so I adjusted them during the show, and you guys let me know they were a little low. And I turned them up, and hopefully everybody had good audio. So yeah, don't tell me the audio's good if the audio's not good. Where's Winston? All right. Okay, there we go. Let's see. Love when you talk about Trump. Good morning. There's Winston. He's right there. Top fan Winston. Good morning. How's my audio, Winston? Is it too hot or is it too cold? Is it good? My meters tell me that I'm not quite red. So I'm pretty much perfect unless I get really excited. If I talk more quietly, or if I talk like this, So anyway, okay. So what do we got? Bitcoin. Bitcoin at $57,000, almost $58,000 this morning. Just absolutely nuts. What is causing this meteoric rise in Bitcoin? All right. So there's a couple things here. First of all, is it too late to get in on Bitcoin? Did you miss it? Well, if you bought one at, $100, you're sure feeling pretty good right now, right? The thing about Bitcoin is that right now all the arrows are pointing up, and everyone is kind of getting manic about it. Like, wow, I need to get in on this. And it's true. You could make considerable upside potential. I mean, even Thor said it was going to be 80 grand by the end of the year. So that means if you buy in now, let's just call it 60 to make the math nice and round. You're talking about making a 30% return on investment between now and the end of the year if Thor is right. And has he ever been wrong? I'm just saying. That was an oddly precise prediction for him, like with a number. Like, wow. So anyway, on the other hand, Bitcoin can go down and has in the past gone down dramatically and quickly, like 2008 style quickly. So I would not put your entire family savings and life investment, your entire nest egg, into Bitcoin. That would not be a smart diversification of your assets, of your resources. However, if you're not looking into getting a little bit of this at least, you're writing off something that shouldn't be written off. Let's put it that way. Let me give you an example. Okay, so I have a small mine, right? At the shop, we have customers that get infected with ransomware viruses, and we needed cryptocurrency in order to get their data released by the bad guys. The problem is if you don't have cryptocurrency on hand, when you go to buy crypto, like at Coinbase, you can't use it. You can't do anything with it for like 6 days while all the payments clear. It's a high fraud situation. Furthermore, many of the big banks won't let you use your credit cards to buy Bitcoin, or they weren't at the time. Many smaller banks won't let you use your debit cards to buy Bitcoin, even through Coinbase. So the challenge becomes, how do you buy Bitcoin? And it just never occurred to me. My son was asking me, he's 14 years old, and he's asking me about Bitcoin because he was in the car with mom, and they were listening to Fox Business as they were rolling down the road. And Stuart Varney, God, I love that guy. He's on the radio, and he's talking to somebody who's like, by the end of the end of the decade, Bitcoin could be $1 million a coin. There's a mathematical case for this, and there is. That's the stock to flow model. That's the model that I've been following since the beginning of this and giving you predictions on. The stock to flow model says by the end of the year, Bitcoin will be $150,000. Low end would be about $80,000. So how smart is Thorstradamus? So anyway. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of upside potential. Is there downside potential? Yes, there is. Should you own some Bitcoin? Yeah, probably. Quick story. When I was getting into this, like seriously into this, we had a small mine. We've had it for years at the shop, like 2 or 3 little computers mining Bitcoin, enough to keep some trickle of Bitcoin coming. It used to be a lot easier to mine than it is now. Now you need a whole room full of computers with temperature control and everything else, and that's what I built. So we were renting out a restaurant for $1,200 a month the whole year of 2018, just to have, and in the kitchen under the hoods where the ovens were. It was a 3,000 square foot restaurant. I didn't need the space. I just needed the hoods, and I needed a place that had ventilation and lots of power. It takes a lot of power to run coolers and things, right? So we had electricians come in and pipe in all the wires and everything. We put them all under the hood, turned on the hood vents to suck the heat up and out, literally cut circular holes in the doors that led out to the back, and put giant fans to suck in outside air and just blow outside air directly into the room to try to bring the temperature down to 100 degrees in the room. It was nuts. That was like heating up that whole 3,000 square foot space. Now, somebody bought the building, and it was like, and they're like, well, Thor, we have plans for this space. You're on a month-to-month here. We're going to have to, it was $800 base rent, plus internet and insurance and all that other stuff. So it was about $1,200 a month when everything was said and done. But we're going to need you. We're going to need you out. There's no rush, but sometime in the next 3 to 6 months. So I was really appreciative that the landlord gave me a heads up, because you can't just pick up this equipment and move it somewhere. You've got to have an electrician come out and run wires and pipes and all kinds of other stuff and figure out ventilation and everything. So I went to look in, and I looked at garages, like those little like the little garages that craftsmen get when they want to have like a cabinet company. They want a place to work, so they get a little garage. It's a heated garage. None of them had enough power. Found one that did, but would have to completely renovate the inside of it to manage the heat, and the owner wasn't very happy with that idea, so he didn't want me to do that. I'm like, I don't know what we're going to do. So I said, you know what? I don't have a ton of room in the Papillion Service Center, but I can take a 15 by 10 foot space, and I'm going to build a server room to hold these cryptocurrency miners. The building that we're in was originally intended to be a medical building in Papillion. So there is a service outside intended to run x-ray equipment. I have power. Now I just need ventilation. How am I going to get ventilation? We cut a hole in the roof, and we put a 10,000 CFM fan on the roof, and then we cut a 4 foot by 4 foot hole in the exterior wall and put a grate on it for air intake. So literally we're sucking 10,000 CFM of air in from the outside, up and out. Yesterday, the hot side of the mine was 72 degrees. With the outside air coming in, you can imagine in the summer, the hot side gets to be like 140 degrees. It gets nuts. So anyway, I built this huge room, right? And, we're talking, it was like 10 grand for the fan and, 8 grand for materials. And if you've ever seen Thor build anything out of wood, I was doing the work myself to save money. But boy, I am not a craftsman. It does not look pretty. I wouldn't try to mud those seams. It's not good. Bought all the soundproofing because, with all this equipment running, the fans have a huge coil line. You can't hear anything in the service center. If that door is open, you can't have a conversation because it's too loud. You shut the door, and it's like if you've ever had the bathroom ventilation fan on and the door shut, and you're outside the bathroom and you hear the fan running in there, it sounds kind of like that with the door shut. With the door open, you can't have a conversation. It's crazy. And so that mines Bitcoin, right? So, great. My family, a member of my family who I won't identify, pulled my wife aside because, Thor, when he goes after something, I go after something, okay? And sometimes I go after things too much. This is why I don't drink anymore, guys, because if you're going to drink, you drink like a Navy SEAL, right? You do the job right. Well, if you're going to do Bitcoin, do Bitcoin. And one member of my family pulled my wife aside and said, is he going to bankrupt your family doing this? Like, this is crazy, I suppose there is an element of a little bit of insanity where, in equipment and materials and everything probably sunk about $40,000 into the whole project. Mined 5 Bitcoins, though. Not so crazy now. So we don't have all 5 of them anymore, but we've had to use them for ransomwares and things, ransom infections and things like that. But the moral of the story is, when you have an opportunity, right now, for example, I decided, I have broken miners that I want to get fixed, and I don't want to learn how to fix them. I don't want to learn how to microsolder microchips and things. It's not a skill set that I really want to have. I don't see a choice at this point. I can't find anybody to fix these things. And so I'm going to have to do this, I think. And because every place I send my blades to fix them, they just never send them back. They're, well, we're still waiting on whatever. And, meanwhile, I'm missing out on all this opportunity. And I have, tons of equipment that's just sitting there, not functional because it's broken. Worn out, chips burnt, whatever, bad equipment from the manufacturer. COVID happened, so all the authorized repair centers are offline. Can't get anything fixed that's under warranty anymore. It's ridiculous. So with all of this investment into that, I could see why someone might think that. Right now, there's people that are probably like, if I told you should put $100 a week into Bitcoin, you should go to Coinbase, create an account, and do a pre-programmed Bitcoin buy of $100 in Bitcoin every week, regardless of the price. You don't care if it goes up or down. You're going to buy $100 if you're going to dollar cost average into Bitcoin. Trust me that you will thank me next year. And if you don't thank me next year, you'll thank me 2 years after that. Because if it goes down, and it will eventually take a hit, there will be a 30, 40, 50% correction. And when that happens, it's going to shake a lot of weak hands. But MicroBT came out and purchased Tesla bought $1.5 billion in Bitcoin just to have on their balance sheet. MicroBT is a company that basically invests in Bitcoin. They're issuing $1 billion of debt. They're selling bonds. And people are buying the bonds, getting paid interest on the bonds so that MicroBT can buy more Bitcoin. If you wanted to invest $1 million in Bitcoin right now, you would get about 15 Bitcoins. That's it. For $1 million, you get 15. Now, predictions. Where is this going? Thorstradamus said 80,000 by the end of the year. Stock to flow model says between 80 and 150 by the end of the year. The way that Bitcoin is being snapped up by corporations and investment firms, however, there is a plausible case for Bitcoin to hit multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars in the next 12 months. There is a plausible case on the extreme side. Now, this is if everything goes exactly right and everybody jumps in and literally purchases the open supply of Bitcoin on the market. Bitcoin could go to $600,000 by the end of the year, according to one analyst, depending on how companies respond. So Tesla, you got to think here, Tesla bought $1.5 billion in Bitcoin when it was, $35,000 a coin? If this goes to 70, They have doubled their money. They now have $3 billion in Bitcoin. So if you're a company looking to make a return on investment, and you have a bunch of free cash sitting around that you can't invest in anything, you're getting charged to keep it in the bank, you can't go buy bonds with it, you just have a bucket load of cash. How long is it until Apple decides to buy $20 billion in Bitcoin? Or other companies, other tech companies. Twitter has bought Bitcoin. So how long is it? Grayscale is going to buy more Bitcoin. They have to, because they hold Bitcoin when people invest in the Grayscale Trust. So anyway, I'll get off my Bitcoin horse now, but it's going north quick. So if you're thinking it's too late, it's not too late. Don't invest your entire retirement account though, because it can take a hit, and the hit can be. They didn't call it crypto winter for nothing. Crypto winter was a 2-year period that just ended about 7 months ago, where cryptocurrencies just were dogs. It was just like it was a flat or declining value. It looked like the end of the world was upon us. Some people bought Bitcoin into that, and those people are proving to be very smart right now. All righty, let's go on to comments again here. Facial hair looks good, much better, Ted Cruz. All right, so the recovery beard is going to be a matter of consternation, I think, because for me, right now, like, it doesn't bother me, right? It's like once in a while I get like an itch right here. It's like kind of itches, but it doesn't really bother me. My wife, it was kind of a curiosity at first because I've never, since we've been married, we've been together 19 years, and I've never seen you with facial hair, like in 19 years. And that's because I told her, I can't just grow a beard. I mean, I have a brand here, right? And she just looked at me and she was like, oh my God, you did not just say that, did you? Like, I got to hold the brand. The brand doesn't have a beard, I'm not, this ain't woke. I don't got a little bun up here. Like, there's nothing going on here. So anyway, now she's kind of like, I told her, I said, if you tell me you like it, I'm going to keep it. And if you tell me to shave it, I'm going to shave it. You have complete control, lovely Kimberly, over what happens here. And I was given the permission to shave it yesterday. Now the problem was in the morning. It was I don't want to shave it on Sunday morning because it's like I get up at 5:30 to get here for the show, and the last thing I need in the bathroom next to the bedroom is like all the shaving sounds and everything. So I was like, I can shave it later in the week. So if you guys convince lovely Kimberly that I should keep the beard, that's up to you. But the lovely Kimberly makes the call. So if I come back freshly shaven next week, I think we know what happened. So I think we've set up the epic throwdown here. So let's see what happens next. Please talk more about crypto. Well, there's lots you can talk about. Funny story, funny crypto-related story. Well, not funny, but awesome. So this stuff, guys, is exciting for young kids. If you're trying to get a younger person interested in saving, there is nothing that sucks more about saving your money than waiting for compound interest, especially when the interest rate on the savings account is like 1.2. Wow, I put $100 in and I got like half a penny. Yay! Don't spend it all in one place, Grandpa. How do you get kids interested in saving right now when the entire world seems to be against them? And I'm telling you, cryptocurrency is changing this. Now, the problem is if you're under 18, you can't get an account anywhere because it's crypto. It's not like you can go to the bank and open a bank account for your kiddo. You cannot do that with cryptocurrency. Now, you could open an account, but then you're on the hook for all the taxes and everything if there's taxable situations there. Not sure you want to do that. But there are these things called self-hosted wallets. So a self-hosted wallet is a Bitcoin wallet that resides on a computer. Yes, you can back it up. Yes, you can make it safe so that if the computer ever goes kaput or whatever, you don't lose all your Bitcoin. You have to do the things to make it safe. Just like backing up your hard drive. You can back up your hard drive, but if you back up your hard drive, it's not going to back up your crypto wallet. Just fair warning. You have to actually export your private key. But anyway, I tell you all about that a different day. My son, who is 14 years old, came into the Papillion Service Center because we needed help building computers because I was working at about half speed. We were shorthanded before I went down for my surgery. And, I was really pushing harder than I probably should have been, but, we needed to get computers built. So my son came in to help, right? And he says, all right, so Dad, I said, son, I'm going to pay you for your time at the shop today because you're actually working, and I want you to treat this like a real job because you have people around you that are expecting you to perform. So I'm going to pay you. Well, how much do you want to get paid? Let's start the lesson on negotiation. How much do you want to get paid? And he looked at me and he said, $29 an hour. And I was like, oh, okay, starting high. Maybe he understands this negotiation thing. And I said, well, son, minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. How much do you want to be paid? And he said, 8. And I said, I'll tell you what. I will pay you $15 an hour with the requirement that you put half of your money, half of your income into Bitcoin. And I will set you up with a wallet on a computer that you can watch your Bitcoin. And he said, okay, because he got it's $750 he's getting then, right? So he didn't quite get 8 that he gets to keep at $750. So then, as we're going through the day, the guys are talking about crypto and stuff in there and kind of getting Jake a little excited about it, right? And so then at the end of the day, he says, okay, Dad, how much did I earn today? And I'm like, oh, come on, you know multiplication, kid. 15 times this many hours is $82.50 or something like that is what you earned today. 85 bucks is what you earned today. And he was like, in one day? Because he's used to getting like a $14 allowance every 2 weeks, right? He's like, in one day? And he's like, I'm going to tell my friends I earn more money than them and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, slow your train here, kid. Not all your friends work for their dad, number one. And number two, to his credit, now, he's homeschooled, guys. He doesn't get some of the same school exposure to technology that all the other kids get. So basically, he knows how to use a computer, don't get me wrong, but, he's not trying to circumvent the school's network restrictions, let's say. He's not trying to do these kind of things because, he's at home. Everything I asked him to do, he caught on the first try. I have junior techs that we hire that can't do that. He learned how to clone hard drives. He learned how to image hard drives. He learned how to double check his work so he didn't do things the wrong way. He learned how to update a BIOS. He learned how to build a laptop. He learned how to build 2 different laptops, actually, install 2 different types of hard drives. For a 14-year-old kid, that was a lot of tech to take in one day. And he was working independently for most of it. I didn't have to hover over him and watch him. It was amazing. He loved it too. And I was so proud of him. So at the end of the day, he comes to me and he says, Dad, I think I want to put all the money I earned today into Bitcoin. I said, well, it's your money. You can do what you want to do. Inside I'm like, holy biscuits, my kiddo just said he wanted to save all of his money and not spend it on V-Bucks. Ooh, Nirvana. Then I reminded him, he was like, then he comes back a little bit later and he goes, I think I'm going to take $25 of that, Dad, in cash and then put the rest into Bitcoin. And I'm like, it's your money. That's a very reasonable thing to do. So then, I give him his 25 in cash and deposit the rest of his, transfer his Bitcoin to his Bitcoin wallet that we're setting up that's still synchronizing 3 days later. And he comes back to me and he hands me the 25 bucks. He goes, Dad, I think I want to put this into Bitcoin too. And I was like, well, hey, your best friend is about to have a birthday. Don't you need to buy him a gift? And he's like, oh, yeah, I guess I do, don't I? Shoot. All right. So, even him, I don't let him put all of his money into Bitcoin, right? But he was so excited. So literally, yesterday, the price of Bitcoin went up $1,000. The day before, it went up $1,000 as well. For doing absolutely nothing, the tiny amount of Bitcoin, the, $60-something in Bitcoin that he bought, went up $5 in value. And you would have thought the kid, keep in mind, this kid is used to getting $14 every 2 weeks. He just got $5 for sitting on his butt playing video games. And he's like, this is crazy. This is amazing. And then I was like, imagine how cool it would be if I could open him a BlockFi account that earns 6% interest monthly and compounds monthly on top of that, paid in Bitcoin. Holy cow. But he was so excited to save that money and to watch his money grow. Now, granted, he's probably not going to be excited the first time everything's roses when it's going up, but when it comes down, not everyone's so happy. But that's the thing about the Bitcoin. The balance doesn't change. The dollar value of the balance might change. But if you focus on making the amount of Bitcoin go up, making the Bitcoin number go up, the dollar value will eventually take care of itself. That's my opinion anyway. All righty. Let's see. Here we go. Eileen also would like to say I've been devastated since Wednesday when Rush Limbaugh passed. Yeah, that I debated. Everyone's been giving tributes about Rush, and I debated. I don't really have. I didn't have a personal I never met the man, but I was a teenager when he did his Rush TV show, and I remember watching Rush TV at night on my little 13-inch television in my bedroom. And he'd wear a different tie every show, and his tie line, he was selling his ties and everything. I remember all that stuff. I remember when the show ended, and they asked him on his radio program, "Do you miss doing the TV program?" And he said, "There's so much in TV. You got to do the makeup and the hair, and you got to show up early, and you got to do this, and you got to. It's a real big pain. It's not like radio. Literally, you could roll into a radio station 10 minutes before your show and go." And this was before they had the cameras in the studios and everything like we have now, where you still have to comb your hair now, and shave and all that stuff. I remember, listening to Rush Limbaugh after making bad financial decisions in my life, making good financial decisions in my life, listening to Rush Limbaugh during times when I thought my whole world was falling apart, and listening to Rush Limbaugh when I thought I was on the top of the world. I hadn't listened to Rush in a while because, I kind of, I don't know, I was trying to avoid the political stuff for a little while because it was bringing anxiety into my life, and I didn't want that anxiety. And you have to be politically aware of what's going on around you, but you don't have to wallow in it, And I turned on Rush. And I'm so thankful I did. I turned on Rush a couple weeks ago and listened to his show for a day. And it just amazed me that this man was able, with a smile on his face and a song in his heart, to explain everything that was going on without getting you enraged or riled up or anxious. I mean, you're shaking your head and you're saying, "This is awful." But it was like a community, It was. I made a mention of this kind of in passing on one of the shows either last week or the week before, where it's like there is nobody like Rush. Levin can't do Rush. Wilkow can't do Rush. Sean Hannity certainly can't do Rush. I can't even listen to that guy anymore. It's just the same thing over and over and over and beat it over the head. And it's like, say it enough times and it becomes true. I feel like no matter what you told Sean Hannity to say, he would say it enough times to make it true. And I just don't have a lot of respect for that. And I'm sure other people listen to him all the time and think he's great. And that's fine. Mark Levin, I love his constitutional view on things, but after I listen to Mark Levin's show, I'm just mad. I don't want to be mad. And that was the thing. You listened to Rush and you got done listening to Rush and you were like, you didn't feel down or out. You felt kind of light, that you could look at the situation and shake your head and smile and laugh and find the humor in it, even though it was an incredibly depressing situation for one particular side of the political spectrum. So I don't have my I don't know of anybody that can step in and do politics the way that Rush did them. From a political standpoint, this is the second major political influence in my life that's died in the last 5 years. Kobe Mack was a huge inspiration to me, and a source for, he jumped on the Trump train early. He was one of the delegates actually from Nebraska that went to vote for Trump in the Electoral College, and I remember thinking at the time, I was a Ted Cruz guy, and I was just like, I can't believe that he's behind this guy, and he saw what I didn't see before I saw it. And there are some life lessons to be learned there. Some of those life lessons are lessons that you can share with your kids, and some of them are a little more pragmatic that are best not shared until you have the full flavor of life. For example, sometimes don't fight the flow. Sometimes you have to go along. Sometimes you have to stand on principles, and you have to be wise enough to know when the differences are, what the differences are in those two situations. Reagan once said something along the lines, I'm gonna butcher this quote terribly, that if you're he will gladly work with a Democrat to get 60% of what he wants as opposed to 0% of what he wants. So the idea here that politics is a zero-sum game, that it must be complete victory or complete annihilation, that was Rush's position. Rush Limbaugh was like, these people aren't to be worked with, they're to be defeated. Defeat them, beat them, destroy them. There's a place for that. There's a time for that. There's also a time when, when you're in the minority where you have to say, what can we accomplish? We know that things are going to get done that we don't like. The question is, how can we mitigate them as much as possible? And in some cases, going along with them will help us mitigate those situations. But boy, if you go along with anything right now, if you're pragmatic right now, you're going to get eviscerated by your base. I guess a really good example of this in action is Ben Sass. Ben Sass had a really good thing going. He would give his little constitutional, lessons, which were factually correct lessons, reminders of what we were there to do as public servants. And then all of a sudden, it was like a personal vendetta on Trump. And does it make pragmatic sense to destroy your political career fighting to impeach a guy who is obviously not going to get impeached? The votes are not there. And Ben Sass wasn't going to motivate anybody to vote for the impeachment, just like he doesn't motivate anyone to be constitutional when he gives a constitutional speech. When I hear my wife literally, exasperated, angry with her friends, talking to her friends about Ben Sass lecturing regular voters as if he knows better, and the consensus is he's forgotten that he is a servant. He's forgotten that he is there to do what we ask him to do, not to do what he thinks is best for us. That's what the swamp does. The swamp does what they think is best for everybody. So, yeah. Did that make a whole lot of sense, Ben? No, you should have just gone along at that point. You should have just done that. Now, I don't understand Mitt Romney. I genuinely do not understand Mitt Romney, not one bit, unless it's just like he is so personally against Donald Trump that common sense doesn't enter into it. You look at Mitch McConnell, and you look at these guys that run the Republican Party, and you hear Reince Priebus talk about MAGA, and you're like, really, Reince Priebus? You were a Jeb Bush guy, weren't you? You realize that these are people who are being pragmatic, and that's okay. One of the things that I think the legacy that Rush left us with is that the tent is big enough for people like Ben Sass and people like Donald Trump. If we can just get everyone to realize that we're all in the same tent, and if you're throwing Molotov cocktails at each other inside the tent, you're going to burn the whole world down. So stop it. It's okay to have your disagreements in private. Keep them private. But in public, be united. Not so hard to do, I wouldn't think. But what do I know? I've often said maybe someday when I'm done, when I'm tired, when I've done everything, when I've made my money, when I'm I don't really care what you think of me anymore, I can then go out and say what I actually think and see if that gets me elected. Because Lord knows it won't, because I'll say something stupid. All righty. Yeah, so Eileen, I'm going to miss Rush too. Good morning from Central Nebraska. Good morning, Mark. Sound is good. Maggie and I think the audio level is fine. Awesome. Let's see. You see how he brought Maggie in there too? He's like, and Maggie agrees, Thor, so don't disagree with me. So now I hear that big banks are getting in on the Bitcoin market. How will it end up being actually used? Well, here's the thing. Imagine what's going to happen to Bitcoin if Bank of America announced tomorrow that you could have Bitcoin in your bank account, that you could open a Bitcoin bank account. It's a wallet. It's a crypto wallet. You can already do it on Robinhood. You can already do it on PayPal. It's only a matter of time until the rest of the banks add it to their apps too, or Capital One adds it to their credit card app. I mean, come on, it's going to happen. And so then the key thing is like Robinhood and PayPal, you can buy Bitcoin with money and you can sell Bitcoin for money, but you can't take the Bitcoin out of the wallet. So this is the next best thing. The banks are not going to want to give up control of the financial world, right? The Fed isn't going to want to do that. They're going to have to find a way to control this. So so right now, people don't worry that oil is a commodity or that gold is a commodity, right? Oil is bought and sold in US dollars. So as long as you have to change it in and out of US dollars, we got no problem. So if all the banks said you can have Bitcoin in your wallet, here's your amount of Bitcoin, and you can change it into dollars and deposit the dollars into your bank and spend them anywhere you want to, you just can't take the Bitcoin out of the bank and put it into a self-hosted wallet. Put your Bitcoin in a self-hosted wallet, by the way. But you just can't take it out and put it in a self-hosted wallet. That's the next step. And when they do that, Bitcoin is going to absolutely erupt, because then you're going to have a way for everyone with a Capital One card to do it right in the app. You're going to have the ability for everyone with a Bank of America account right in the app to say, I want to buy this much in Bitcoin. And you're going to have banks making tons of money because there are transaction fees when you buy Bitcoin, right? You can set the buy, sell price anything you want, bank. Now, granted, there's market forces at work, but if you can't move your Bitcoin out of the Bank of America app, Bank of America can dictate whatever price and fees they want for you to exchange your Bitcoin, and you will be honored to pay those fees because you just don't know any better. That's going to be the next iteration of this, I think. How much dollars in Bitcoin before you would need to purchase a hardware wallet? You don't ever have to purchase a hardware wallet. In fact, I don't like hardware wallets. Hardware wallets are devices like a flash drive that basically hold your cryptocurrency on them and require either biometric or password to unlock them. You can achieve the exact same level of security on a regular computer with a lot more redundancy. If I crush that drive, if I run over it with a car, if I get a power surge and that drive fries, you just lost your Bitcoin. So I don't like hardware devices at all. Let the beard... All right, Blake. Blake says let the beard go. Do you mean let the beard go like grow? Like Uncle Si kind of thing? Or do you mean let the beard go like shave it off and let it go, son? You tried it. It's a little patchy, a little gray. You need to let it go. You're losing the baby face. Deborah says keep it. Beard is tastefully done. I vote to keep it. Talk about other types of cryptocurrency beside Bitcoin. Well, Ethereum is really the only other one worth talking about as far as for the audience that I believe I'm talking to, which I believe would be someone around the age of 40 plus who is starting to look at the retirement horizon in the next 20 years or so, kind of like me, basically. We may have some younger people here who want to speculate a little bit. If you want to speculate, there's tons of, oh boy, we call them, I can't say what I call them on the, let's just say coins that are of poopy nature. Poopy coins. We'll call them poopy coins. Other words, starts with an S and ends with a T, and they're ST coins. But the poopy coins. The poopy coins are like coins that have no use case. Coins that are just coins because somebody created them. And like Dogecoin, for example. Dogecoin was a meme. It was a joke. The guy who created it doesn't even own any Dogecoin anymore. And when Elon goes out and says, Doge to the moon, and everybody buys Dogecoin, and it goes up from like, it's at 4 cents a coin, and it goes up to like 70 cents a coin. And then everybody who has Dogecoin sells it, makes a bunch of money, leaves all these other guys holding the bag as the coin crashes back down to 4 cents again. Those are classic pump and dump schemes, and it really gives crypto a bad name. So I'm not sitting on, crypto bets on Reddit looking for, what coin is going to get pumped next to make a bunch of money. Maybe I should. I don't know. I learned this lesson again recently. I started to try to trade my Bitcoin. Basically buy low, sell high, right? It's not hard. Bitcoin goes up and down by $2,000 every single day. All you have to do is buy at the high and sell at the low. Or excuse me, get it the other way around. Buy at the low, sell at the high. You got yourself a free money, right? Free money machine until Bitcoin goes up 20 grand in a couple days. And then you're just hosed. If you weren't in it, now to buy back in, you're losing Bitcoin. Your Bitcoin number, that number I tell you is important to focus on, goes down. Guys, buy it and hold it. Don't try to trade it. Don't get fancy with it. Trust me, I've learned this lesson recently again because I thought I was smarter and I'm not. So buy it and hold it. Ethereum is basically the fuel behind all of the distributed finance. It's what's upending all the banks right now. Ethereum is without getting too much in the weeds, to make these applications work that keep track of interest and payments and everything else and loans, you have to use Ethereum, and it consumes the Ethereum. So more Ethereum is issued, Ethereum is consumed, basically, and eventually Ethereum is going to a proof of stake which again, I'm in the weeds here, but right now you can mine Ethereum, but that's going to go away. When that does, people who have Ethereum will earn interest on their Ethereum. They'll get Ethereum. People who don't have Ethereum will literally just have to go to the market and buy it with cash, because that's the only way you'll be able to get it. There is no mining anymore. So for most of you out there, you're not going to mine any of these coins. These are things you're going to choose to spend investment dollars in. You're going to choose to invest. And if you're talking about mining a coin, if you want to spend a few days mining Dogecoin so you have a few in case it goes to the moon, God bless you. It's a waste of your time, but God bless you. If I'm talking to you about investing in something that is stable-ish, stable enough, has a good future behind it, you know, you've got the cryptos that are use cases, but Bitcoin has 69% of the cryptocurrency market. That's including all the poopy coins. If you add them all together, Bitcoin is still 69%. So Bitcoin or Ethereum are really the two coins you want to play in if you're going to play. Otherwise, I would avoid the others if at all possible. Hope you remembered to teach him about taxes. Well, here's the thing. Buying and holding doesn't incur any taxes. So he only has taxes when he sells it for dollars. So the problem is the U.S. government is stupid right now, and they don't understand the difference between a stock trade where there is no way to sell your stock without selling your stock. If you have a transaction in the stock market, you are either buying it or selling it, right? So there's a monetary event happening. But with cryptocurrency, you can move it. It's like a bank account. So you don't get taxed if you take all your money out of Bank of America and go deposit it at Capital One. They don't tax you on that transaction. You just moved your money. Well, crypto, if I want to take my money from an online wallet and transfer it to a self-hosted wallet, that's a taxable event. I get taxed. So if I bought a Bitcoin at $3,000 and I transfer it to a wallet when it's $70,000, they're saying that I made a profit of, $67,000, and I have to get taxed on that. I never even changed it into dollars. That's how backward the law is right now. So they're gonna the government's gonna have to figure this out pretty quick. But yeah. Now all babysitting must be paid in Bitcoin. He's definitely got the bug. He is an awesome kid, John. All right. Do I need a wallet if I have Bitcoin in PayPal and in BlockFi? Well, if you have your Bitcoin in PayPal, you can't take it out of PayPal. You can change it into dollars and take the dollars out of PayPal. You can't transfer your Bitcoin out of PayPal. Try. Now in BlockFi is an online wallet. So basically, the purists in the Bitcoin community would say that this is super risky because you are giving control of your Bitcoin to another company who could steal them from you or go bankrupt. And if they go bankrupt, you lose your Bitcoin. There is no FDIC insurance. So again, talking about diversification here, I have a wallet on my computer. I've got a BlockFi account. I keep more in my BlockFi account because it's earning interest. But if BlockFi went belly up, I don't want to be completely out of the game. I want to be able. So when I'm buying my Bitcoin, my weekly Bitcoin allowance that I'm spending, that goes into my wallet and I hang on to it. The other nice thing about that wallet is nobody on this planet knows that wallet is mine. Nobody knows I have that wallet. Nobody can prove how much is in that wallet. That's my wallet. Happy day. For what it's worth. Allowance too? Yeah, I don't know if he hasn't made a request to have his $14 biweekly allowance paid in Bitcoin yet. I'm sure that's coming. Yeah, he does want some V-Bucks. In fact, he asked me yesterday, he's like, Dad, can I get some V-Bucks? And I said, I thought you had to buy a present for your friend. He goes, yeah, but I've got $10. It's just $10, Dad. Like, so yeah, he still gets the bug. WHO was one of the first stations to run Rush. I had no idea. I mean, I knew he was from Missouri, but I had no idea that the Des Moines station was one of the first. Oh yeah. Rush took his shows very seriously. He got prepped for those shows. But I do remember some of the shows where he would roll in and say he's a little punchy. I think that's where I picked up that line a little bit. I'm a little punchy this morning because I didn't get a lot of sleep. He was out golfing and traveling the night before, and he just got off the plane, got 3 hours of sleep, and came into the studio. So there are some that go like that. Yeah, Ron. You see, this is the pragmatic thing. Ron says, we need you, meaning me, to post political blogs. Democrats have money too. Liberals have computers too. We have a lot of liberal and Democrat customers that have found us not through our radio shows, but through Google searches and social media posts and things like that. From a business perspective, it is not smart for me to purposefully alienate 50% of my audience. We are not a big enough entity. We're not Chick-fil-A, right? Now, Chick-fil-A didn't choose to do that. Chick-fil-A just has beliefs, and they stand behind their beliefs, and for that, they've gotten nailed. Hobby Lobby, aside from that farm stand situation, those of you in La Vista know what I'm talking about. Hobby Lobby, has convictions, and they do the right thing, and they get, eviscerated for it. Great example would be Goya Foods. People need to eat. People can buy foods anywhere, but there's not a lot of places to buy ethnic food like Goya makes. So Goya can afford to be a little pushy with their stuff. Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy. Did you hear that David Hogg, the gun kid, was going to create a competing pillow company? And even the people on the left were like, I think you've lost your mission, David Hogg. You were supposed to be anti-guns, and now you're going to make pillows? I think you're abusing your position here for personal gain. So he had to step down from a bunch of stuff and apologize and go reflect on, trying to cash out on his wokeism. So, I don't know. I'm not quite ready yet from a pragmatic perspective. From a personal perspective, you better believe it. There is, you guys, under the surface, things are happening. I'm not doing any of them, but I'm seeing them. I am hearing my wife's friends in the homeschool community who are extremely connected and extremely politically influenced talking about finding candidates, talking about vetting candidates, talking about primarying, first name B, last name S, BS. Anyway, he's going to get primaried. Who would have thought 2 years ago that man was going to get primaried? I mean, it's nuts. But again, big things you can focus on. Focus on the local races. Those are the ones that are going to matter the most. They have the biggest impact on our local community. If you don't want critical race theory taught in the public schools in Nebraska or Iowa, run for the school board. That's who decides what gets in the classroom. Not the teachers, not the administrators, not the politicians, the people on the school board. That's simple. You want people to understand that windmills are temperature sensitive. Now, I know there's people out there who say, like, literally, my wife has a friend who works on windmills. He goes, we have these things in North Dakota and South Dakota. They don't freeze up. They generate power. The problem is they don't generate the same amount of power when it's cold. So you can look at a power generation graph in Texas, and you can see when it got cold, wind power dropped down to 10%. And then you could see natural gas flexing up to fill the void until they ran out of gas. They literally ran out of gas because the gas lines were frozen. So anyway, you don't want, let me handle my world right now to bring you guys the technology and the safety and the community and that stuff. That's the best thing that I can do right now to give you a stable place in that area of your life and to bring you the news that matters, that impacts those things. It's just hilarious. I posted a post about the Biden administration on Facebook. I tagged the Biden administration in it. I didn't boost it. I wasn't going to put money behind that one. But, it got attention. People hearted it because the Biden administration was doing something about the chip shortage. But if you actually read the post said that the Biden administration was planning to study a problem starting 60 days from now. They were going to study it for 100 days, 160 days, basically, until their study was done, to figure out where the bottleneck was. Meanwhile, industry leaders are telling us the bottleneck is in production and we need more production in the United States and we need subsidies to do it. So if you read between the lines, the Post says the Biden administration is planning to study something that's completely flipping obvious and they can't solve unless they're willing to follow Donald Trump's policies. But they're going to study it until the problem goes away. Industry says the problem goes away in 6 months. The bottleneck will be resolved. So there we go. So I mean, you read between the lines when I write stuff. You'll see what's there. But there are candidates that are being recruited for local offices and for congressional offices and Senate offices that are going to make a difference. There's going to be blowback from all the stuff that's happening now. I mean, literally, speaking of Molotov cocktails, you can't take a Molotov cocktail into a job market like what has happened here recently and just start torching entire industries. And I get it, you don't like fossil fuel. I get it. Everybody, that's not a surprise. Everybody knew that. But nobody knew that you were going to render millions of people unemployed. Literally in the first, I mean, we could put an hourly calculator, hours in office, and chart people who lost their jobs, and there'd be a logarithmic pattern to that. I mean, at some point there's a blowback from this. I mean, are you trying to make a dark winter? Is that the goal? I mean, it looks like COVID cases are going down 25% week over week for the last 4 weeks, or the last 6 weeks. Literally, COVID cases, both cases, hospitalizations, and deaths, are all down over 70% in the last 6 weeks. So obviously, something changed 6 weeks ago that made an impact on the COVID situation. So I could be a political hack and say, oh, it's because Joe Biden got elected. Now everyone's, it's going away. It's going to go away. That's not what happened. What happened was Joe Biden got elected, and after he got elected, the CDC finally put out statistics on how many times you spin that PCR test machine. Because if you spin it long enough, you get a positive every time. So how long do you spin the test? Do you spin it till it is positive? It is if you want to have a lot of cases. Or do you spin it 20 times or 15 times or 3 times? Well, now there's guidance, so this machine gets spun the same number of times every time, and lo and behold, all those false positives are falling by the wayside. So the number of cases has gone down dramatically. And it turns out now that we're realizing that we might be a lot closer to herd immunity than we thought. And the cities that were locked down actually have lengthened their recovery process because they have put off any progress toward herd immunity because everybody kept locked in their houses. So the lockdowns actually did, in the long run, hurt these communities. And now they're going to have to pay the price anyway. But we can't have a lot of cases, but at least now that we're spinning the machine the right way. The other day I went into Hy-Vee and I didn't wear my mask in Papillion. I forgot it in the car. I wasn't going to go out and get it again. And there's a guy sitting there and he's got the box of masks. And I thought to myself, why am I even putting this stupid mask on? This thing isn't doing anything, and you're supposed to wear 2 now. Joe Biden wears 2 everywhere he goes. I mean, what the? I'm not going to wear this mask. It's not even a problem anymore for people my age. It's not even a problem anymore. And there's people will say, well, you need to protect people who are, elderly. And I'm like, I can see that argument. I genuinely can see that argument. That's why we have vaccinations and things like that happening now. But at some point, we have to go back to living life. And I just didn't wear the mask that day. And I went to the customer service counter, and the same lady helped me there that helps me every time when I buy stuff. And I buy stuff at Hy-Vee at that service counter virtually every day. She didn't say 3 words to me. I know she's a Biden supporter. I made a wisecrack once that, don't worry, once Biden's elected, this whole thing will go away. And her body language changed. I was like, oh, I made a mistake. Like, yeah, she's a liberal Democrat, and I just made her very angry. Oh, well, I guess, I don't care too much what the clerk at, the Hy-Vee service counter thinks of me politically. But it is nice to just be nice to people in general and to get along with people, to be, not persecuted is kind of nice. So, I've refrained from making subsequent political comments in her presence since then. And I know she's sensitive about the mask thing, so I've been wearing the mask. But for that day, I was just like, you know what? I've got the beard. It's fine. I'll go in there and, And I was like, how's your day going? Are you excited for this, that, or the other? And you trying to make conversation. She's like, no, it's going fine. Yep. All right, you have a great day. You too, as she walks away. I was like, yeah. Woo! All right. Let's see. Went to start my 2-year-old Ultimate Upgrade laptop this morning, and for about 10 minutes it wouldn't start. I could hear the fan running, but it wouldn't boot. I closed it, let it sit until the fan stopped running, tried again, and fired up fine. Yeah, it might have just been, it may have gone to sleep and then completely died, so it may have been in kind of like, I don't know, what do they call that? Purgatory. It was in purgatory. So you'd have to let it fully die so you could resurrect it again. I buy Riot as a mirror of Bitcoin. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I was looking at there's the Wall Street Bets Reddit thing. God, I can't think of the name of this website that tracks the sentiment from that. And Riot was like the third most talked about thing on the Wall Street Bets forum. I can buy and sell and put stops and trade it just like any other stock. Yeah, that's absolutely right. GameStop, right? Same here. Where do you get a wallet? Okay, the easiest way to get a Bitcoin wallet, Blake, is to just download Bitcoin Core. It's called Bitcoin Core. You'll get it from bitcoin.org. So make sure you're getting it from bitcoin.org. It's called Bitcoin Core. There are lots of different wallet types. Bitcoin Core is the wallet made by the Bitcoin project. When you install it on your computer, you need to have a considerable amount of space on your hard drive because it downloads the entire blockchain, every Bitcoin transaction ever made, ever, onto your computer. And then your computer becomes a node to help other people download their wallets. So it's kind of neat. You're kind of a part of the community after that. But when you download that wallet, it will take 3 days for the wallet to become current. So if you try to send money to that wallet, it's not going to show up in the balance for like 3 days. Once the wallet is current, keeping it current isn't difficult. You open the wallet and say, oh, I got to catch up a day, and it catches up, and then your balances are fine. But it's that easy. All right. I know and I understand. I just hate to have to worry about someone on the left might do to us. Yeah. You know, but that's no different than any other thing in life. You know, you have to worry about people, you know, what they might do, what they might think, what they, you know, how that might impact your life. Or, you know, the biggest thing is this, you know, people just want to be left alone. Just live your life. Leave me alone. Let me live my life. And when I live my life and everything is going good for me, and I'll be happy, and I'm not going to get mad at anybody else. I'm not going to try to make anybody else live their life differently because, you know, I want to live my life the way I want to live it. I'm not going to tell somebody who disagrees with me politically that they have to do something different. If I want to give to my church, I'll give to my church. If I want them to give to my church, I'll try to get them to come to church. You know, it's not like I'm going to go take their money and give it to the church or take my money and give it to the government. Cryptocurrency, guys. I saw this online the other day and I thought it was a little hyperbolic. It's freedom money. And when you think about it, it really is. No one can take it from you. No one can seize it. The government seized these Bitcoin. The only reason the government seized the Bitcoin is they took the device that the wallet was on and the wallet wasn't encrypted. No password. So you can take that Bitcoin. My wallet's encrypted. Literally with Bitcoin Core, Blake, you say file, encrypt wallet. And it says, what do you want your password to be? You type in the password and it says go. Type it twice just to be sure. And then if you ever want to send Bitcoin to somebody, you got to type in the password. Don't forget the password. If you forget the password, there's no way to get into the wallet. It's that easy. You can keep a backup of this on a flash drive on your keychain of your DAT file basically, so that if your computer ever crashes or blows up, you can install Bitcoin Core again, import the DAT file, and then voila, there are your keys. Everything is good to go. Yeah, I think it might. Bitcoin and you. The Lovely Kimberly says, it sounds like Thor needs to do a how-to walkthrough for a Bitcoin special episode. It's like, yeah, Bitcoin and you. We could do like Mr. Rogers puppets, you know, like, hi, I'm Bitcoin. Too much? Okay. Is blockchain a wallet? No, blockchain is a ledger. So think about it like a ledger that lists every wallet ever created that has Bitcoin in it. So if you create a wallet, that doesn't do anything magical on the blockchain. But if you put Bitcoin in your wallet, all of a sudden there's an entry on the ledger that says this wallet sent money to this wallet, and now this wallet has that money. And that money will go somewhere eventually. That Bitcoin will leave the wallet or stay in the wallet. And there's people who analyze the blockchain to see, is there a lot of money? What's the velocity of Bitcoin? There's a whole macroeconomic side to this that has not been explored. There's going to be people that are economists. You hear about Milton Friedman all the time and things like that. There's going to be economists for crypto that define, that write these rules, that write these systems, basically, that they don't exist yet. So it's a little Wild West. So that's why I said it's not a place to put all of your retirement money. But here's the thing. The last parting note on Bitcoin I'll leave you with, because I got to start wrapping up the thing here. We haven't talked about anything but Bitcoin. I can't believe I still have 76 viewers still. Every so often, every few years, there's an event called a halvening. In the halvening, the half, like taking something in half, halvening, because it's something that happens, it's part of the Bitcoin ecosystem. Every so often, every so many blocks is how it's figured out, but it turns out to be every like 4 years. The amount of Bitcoin that's awarded to Bitcoin miners for mining gets cut in half. So right now, all the Bitcoin that people are buying has been mined at some point by somebody. There will come a point when you can't buy Bitcoin at any price or at a ridiculously high price. Kind of like natural gas last week in Texas. You could buy it, but it was like $10,000 a minute to heat your house. The next halvening is about 3 years away. 2.5, 3 years. When that happens, there is a direct correlation between a rise in Bitcoin price about 6 months later, because what ends up happening is if you reduce by half all of the Bitcoin that people like me can generate with a mine, well, now there's less Bitcoin on the market for all those investment guys to buy, right? If there's less of something, basic economics tells us the price goes up, right? Yeah. That's when the price of Bitcoin is supposed to go to $1 million, guys. And I'm not talking like 25 years from now. I'm talking about worst case scenario, end of the decade. Best case scenario, 3 years from now. So to give you guys an idea here, let's just say, for the sake of discussion, to make the math easy, let's say that Bitcoin is at $60,000 today, okay? So if you bought $100 of Bitcoin, whoops, I did that the wrong way. $100 of Bitcoin, and it's $60,000 a coin, you'd have 0.0016 repeating Bitcoins, okay? 0016. 66, let's say. 0.0016666666, whatever, 7, times $1 million is $1,666. So for every $100 you put into Bitcoin today, if Bitcoin ever hit $1 million, which the stock-to-flow model says it will before the end of the decade easily, it could be in the next 3 years, you would have $1,666. So if you are 20 years from retirement, and let's say you put in $1,000 into Bitcoin, that $1,000 becomes $16,000. Let's say you put $10,000 in. You're getting the idea here. Your $10,000 became $166,000. We all know inflation's a real thing, and that it's coming, and it's here, and it's going to get worse as time goes on. This is an inflation-beating investment. This is the only one that I can think of that actually, inflation is actually like 13% right now, guys. It's nuts. Look at food prices. Look at fuel prices. Gasoline went up, 20 cents in the last week? It's nuts. This is the only investment that I can think of that you could put in a reasonable amount of money, have an explosive growth that beats inflation, and makes up for any other investment shortfalls you might have in more stable things. Please do not misunderstand me. I still have a 401k. I still put money into my 401k every pay period. I am not staking my entire financial future on Bitcoin. I still come to work and run my business, right? I'm not going to be a Bitcoin millionaire. And if I am, yeah, I love it. That's awesome. And if it doesn't work out, I got other irons in the fire. You need to be the same way, okay? So don't go crazy and invest tons of money that you're going to need for retirement or whatever else, or that if it dropped by it could drop by 50%. There's a lot of people who think it's going to go to like $300,000 and it's going to drop back to 150 before it rockets up to $1 million. So literally, this is like a 401k. You're not going to sell this. You're not going to trade this. You're not going to try to jump in and jump out, because trust me, Bitcoin is so unpredictable. Just when you think it's predictable, just when you think you've got a feel on what's going to happen, it jumps 20 grand in a week. and all the buying and selling at $1,000 increments I was doing at, $32,000, now I feel really stupid because I got caught in cash because I was waiting for it to go down to buy back in. And it didn't go down. It went up 20 grand and it ain't coming back. Not anytime soon. Not that low. So buy back in, have less Bitcoin. Don't mess around trading it. Just buy it and hold it. Awesome, KJ. That's cool. KJ says he's a beginning Bitcoin investor thanks to me. Well, I hope it works out for you, and I hope it works out for me too. You have a great business. Don't let your personal views destroy it. Liberals will destroy your business in a heartbeat and not give a damn about you. Conservatives don't do this kind of boycotting. Wait until you are in your 60s and you are independently wealthy and retired, and then run. You're definitely electable. Or take on a fake identity and create a persona to espouse your common sense views. Oh wow, that would be something, wouldn't it? I could create, so you can make these things called deep fakes, right? We could create a computer-generated person that doesn't exist. It would be hilarious because we could go out. You could get like a Bitcoin wallet for this person, and you could literally create an entire identity. There's been people who've like gone across the country on their Bitcoin only. Like, can you travel across the United States using only Bitcoin? There are Bitcoin ATMs you can stop at where you can buy Bitcoin for cash, or you can get cash for your Bitcoin. So yeah, you can do it. But it's pretty crazy. So we could create a completely fake person and then have that person become like a super conservative. But then what will happen is eventually someone's going to figure out that person doesn't exist. And when they figure that out, they'll be like, see, the whole thing was fake news anyway. Too many unknowns with the shot. For example, how long does the shot last? Some say 3 months. A lot of unknowns for the shot. I'm not in a high risk group, so I am choosing to allow my shot to go to somebody who feels that they need it more than I do. It's really sad. They happen to run PSAs in the UK that say there's not a microchip in the shot to track you everywhere you go, because they literally believe that about Bill Gates and the microchip in the UK, to the point where they have to run PSAs about it. Blockchain is the technology ledger that runs the system. Yep, that's right. I'm in need of a new laptop. I was on your website. I just want you to sell me on why I should buy yours. I am interested but don't know much about the innards of one. Don't know a whole lot. Internet and lots of pictures. Help. Okay, so big difference between our laptops and a laptop you'd buy at a box store. Number one, our laptops all come with solid state hard drives. So some of the ones in the box store do come with solid state, some don't, depending on the price point you look at. The second thing is, all of our laptops except for one have upgradable memory. That is something, that's getting hard to get right now. In fact, we have a new computer, a new laptop we're going to be introducing next month. Nothing that you're going to be interested in for this purpose. But it's basically a replacement for our Resolute model. It has no upgradable memory. It comes with 4 gigs of RAM, and that's all it will ever have. It comes with 64 gigs of storage, and we bought one unit because we were praying to the sweet baby Jesus that there was a port in there that we could put a hard drive in, because 64 gigs isn't enough storage to do anything. And thank you, there was a hard drive M.2 slot in there, and we were able to test this computer now. And it's going to be the new Resolute, and it's going to bring the Resolute up, because the Resolute always looks out of place. We got these sleek other ones over here, and then the Resolute is like big and clunky, and it was the entry-level model. So the upgradability is a huge factor. The second side of this is going to be the service that you get behind the computer. When you buy a computer from Schrock Innovations, whether it's a solid-state laptop or a modular desktop, or if it's a holiday special you spent $1,600 on, or an ultimate upgrade you spent $400 on, you get the same level of service every time. You get the same warranty. You get treated the exact same, no matter what you buy in the service centers. And if you've ever been to someplace, I won't name names, but if you've ever been to like a big box store repair center, sometimes you get a guy in there who kind of knows what he's talking about, and sometimes you get a guy, literally I've been standing in the checkout line listening to people talking to other customers and telling them things that is completely wrong. And I'm just like, I want to jump in. Like, the guy at the counter is telling the customer to do the right thing, but for the wrong reasons. And it's like, he doesn't understand. But it's not my place, right? It's not my place to train my competition. So anyway, you're getting guys at Schrock who know what they're doing, who understand the objective is not a perfectly functional piece of equipment. That's the big difference between a Best Buy or an Office Max or an Amazon or something like that and Schrock. The objective at Schrock is the equipment does what you need it to do. Because there's a difference. Perfectly functioning piece of equipment still may not do what you need it to do. And you might be the problem. Perfectly functioning piece of equipment running Windows Live Mail, as we heard during the radio show, can't be exported directly into Thunderbird or any other modern program. But at Schrock, if we look hard enough, there might be some backwards, sideways, alley-oop, half-court shot we can take to try to make it work. And we'll give it a shot. And if Brian cracked that code, was able to do that, I would have told her the same thing if she wouldn't have, if the caller before wouldn't have said Brian did that. I would have told her the exact same thing. You can't do that. It's just, there's no direct way to do it. But there is a way to do it apparently, and Brian cracked that code. So I think we're going to be writing a white paper after our manager meeting on Monday for it to circulate to the service centers on how to do that, what he did. So anyway, long story short, when you're buying a Schrock laptop, you're getting something that the technology inside of it is superior to what you're getting at the box store, because when we get the computer, we take out the hard drive that's in it, even if it comes with a solid state, because a lot of them do now, and we replace it with a faster solid state, because as many people know, not all solid states are created equal. You could have a solid state drive, just like you could have a rotating drive back in the day, and have a rotating drive that's 5,400 RPM or that's 10,000 RPM. And there's a huge difference. Same thing with solid states. You can get really fast or really slow solid states. Not all solid states are solid state. Same thing with computer memory. Not all computer memory is fast computer memory. Laptops ship with slow memory. We replace it with fast memory. So you're getting a custom computer from Schrock that you could not get anywhere else. You're getting award-winning service behind that computer that you can't get anywhere else. Now, specifically with what you're talking about doing, when you say lots of pictures, if you are a professional photographer setup, where you're taking pictures and you're saving them in RAW format off of an SLR camera, you need a very large hard drive. We're talking like probably 2 terabytes. Like you need a big solid state drive. We can get those. If you're talking about somebody who takes pictures with their iPhone and saves them on the computer as a backup, you could probably get away with a 500 gig hard drive. Just depends on how many pictures we're talking about. We'd probably look at your existing computer to see what you're using now to get an idea of where you're going in the future. So as far as laptops go, I would recommend either our Intrepid or our Gallant model. The Intrepid is a $700 laptop. The Gallant is a $900 laptop. So they're not bank-breaking, super fly, $1,600 laptops like the holiday special was, but they are high-performing computers that are going to do what you need them to do and run the photo correction software, whatever you need to do on them, and you're going to be really happy with the performance. How do you keep your soft wallet safe when I reinstall Windows, often from a clean install? Well, what you would do is you go to File and Backup. If you're using Bitcoin Core, you go to File, Backup, and it says, where do you want to back it up? And I keep a copy on a flash drive of my backup. I also keep a copy in the cloud, so that if the worst case happens, I've got it in the cloud, I've got it on a flash drive, and I've got it on my computer. The backup doesn't give you access to the Bitcoin. On the new computer, after you've reinstalled Windows, you would then install Bitcoin Core, and of course it would take like 3 days to update, and then you're going to import that DAT file again, which will give you access. It puts the private keys back into the wallet and the passwords. So you still need the passwords to access the Bitcoin. Alrighty. Yes, my disclaimer for financial advice. I am not a stockbroker, a financial analyst. I don't have a degree in finance. I wasn't even close to a degree in finance. If you choose to take your investment advice from a computer repair guy, well, you deserve the results that you get. Keep that in mind when following any advice that is not actually investment advice that you've heard during this program today. Thank you. All right, what makes a C drive fail after just 7 months? Manufacturer defect, usually. Sometimes they were failing since the day you got it, you just didn't know it. That's why we install Drive Advisor on every computer we build. It's a de facto check of the hard drive from day one. We've built holiday specials with 1 terabyte hard drives that have gone bad in a week after we've sent them out the door. It's the darndest thing, but about 10% of hard drives will fail within the first year. And that's one of the reasons why we have Drive Advisor. Drive Advisor tells us that almost 15% of hard drives at any given moment hooked up to a computer are bad. among just the Schrock population. That can be externals, it could be internals. We have customers, literally like Shelly. Shelly makes a lot of the calls to tell people their hard drives are failing when we get an alert from Drive Advisor. You get an email alert too, but maybe it goes to spam, so we actually call you if you're a Schrock customer. If you're just somebody from New York or somebody from Arizona or something, you've never been on the bench before, you're not a support customer, basically. You could have bought a computer from us, then you would have been on our bench, right? Because we built the computer and we sent it to you. Then you're one of ours. But if you have never been into a service center before, you've never bought a computer from Schrock before, and you just go to driveadvisor.com and install Drive Advisor on your computer and run it on your computer, if you do that, you get an email alert when your hard drive fails, but we don't call you. Because you could be somebody else's customer. But if you're a Schrock customer, we call you. And Shelly's like, why do I keep getting the same, you keep sending me an email to call the same person over and over? And I'm like, well, it's because, Shelly, every time their hard drive health drops, we give them another call. This dude's down to 75% health. He was at 90% earlier in the week. His hard drive is failing hard. It's going down. It's crashing. It's the Titanic. It's taking on water. It's like a DC-10. It's guaranteed to go down. It's going. Here it goes. Back up your stuff. But he won't call us back. We do what we can do. All right. Yep, the Intrepid. Let's see. So you won't cover my loss from GameStop. Just kidding. Hey, I lost $300 on GameStop too. but I only had 2 shares, something like that. So yeah, it was like one of those things. Like Thor thought for a minute he could be a stock trader, and Thor lost money. So don't be like Thor. Just buy and hold. That's why all these people made money in Tesla. The people who made money in GameStop actually bought in at like $20, and they were just holding. They didn't sell, and they just watched it rally up to the moon, and then when it started coming back down, they sold, and then it really came back down. But that's the thing. You got to get in early, and you can't be looking for the quick buck. We have a Schrock computer. Got an email from Drive Advisor. Must have called before you had a chance to call us. Yeah, that's entirely possible, because one of the things that Shelly does is sometimes Drive Advisor, the first thing we do on a computer sometimes is install Drive Advisor. So if a customer brings a computer in that has a bad hard drive in it, we install Drive Advisor, and we type in your email address, it will generate an email and send it to you like immediately that your hard drive is bad. Sometimes we call the customer back and we're like, yeah, your hard drive's bad. They're like, I know, you just sent me an email. So, but Shelly then, she'll get a message to basically call the customer, but she'll first check to see if that customer is already on the bench. So if you already got it in and on the bench before Shelly calls, then she won't call you. That's usually what's going on there. All right, guys. Woo! 1 hour, 22 minutes, making up for lost time the last couple weeks, right? Got to roll. I will consider doing some kind of a Bitcoin feature episode thing. That's going to take a little planning, but I'll see what I can do. Like how to invest in Bitcoin for the beginner investor who doesn't know how to do anything and doesn't want to learn how to do much. Sponsored by the Schrock Innovations Computer Company, and I'll have a little tip link down there where you can send me a crypto tip. You've seen this on, right? So if you're reading a news article, at the bottom of the news article there's a great big long, it says like tips, and there's a great big long address. That's where you can send cryptocurrency to the author of the article to support their journalism. Be careful with those links. You can't send Bitcoin, for example, to an Ethereum address. You'll lose your Bitcoin and they won't get anything. You can't send Ethereum to a Bitcoin address. So you have to know what currency you're sending and receiving before you do it. Just a friendly heads up there. Yes, pray for Texas. The thing that really bothered me about this Texas situation is in our neighborhood Facebook group, there was this one woman who was just going nuts, railing on Texas. Serves them right, blah, 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 blah. Why are we having rolling blackouts in Nebraska? Because Texas can't get their shit together. And you're like, oh my goodness, this is basically a natural disaster. And Texas is in trouble because they were relying on too much wind power. That's what the study's going to come out and show. And that's why after the study comes out and shows that, everyone on the left is going to bash Texas even harder. Texas needs more coal and nuclear. That's why when I posted a picture on our Facebook page about how we are installing battery backups and things to make sure our phone lines stay up in the event of rolling blackouts, And I put a picture of the nuclear power plant that's closed in Nebraska. That they're shutting down because it wasn't economic to run it anymore because power was so cheap. Yeah, would be nice to have that power right now, wouldn't it? So yeah, so I posted that picture, and somebody pointed out, yeah, you posted a picture of a power plant that hasn't produced power since 2016, and I'm like, read between the lines, buddy. That's right. That's right. I wish I had that 2016 power plant back now, don't you? All right, guys, got to roll. Oh wow, she just got it back, and I can't imagine the pipes, and the burst pipes and everything. The water mains cracked, and I mean, they're not going to be. What's the words I'm looking for? Fully recovered anytime soon here. Yeah, winter storm warning. Ah, great. Yeah, I can look out the window. It's coming down pretty good. We'll have to kick it into four-wheel on the way home. All right, guys, I got to roll. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing the show and being a part of the program. I really appreciate you being here. Without you guys listening and contributing, and it'd be really hard to get up in the morning and do this show. And I from the bottom of my heart, you hear radio hosts talk, you hear Rush talk about this all the time. People will call Rush and say, "You changed my life," or "You taught me so much," and things like that. And you're kind of at a loss sometimes of what to say. And I remember Roger Olson, former KFAB guy. He posted he met Rush when Rush used to be on KCAR here in Omaha, and they moved over to KFAB with Clear Channel, and Rush came to the studio here as part of that, as like a tour. And Roger Olson said he was shocked. He would think that like Rush Limbaugh in a room would like suck the air out of a room. But no, it was the opposite. Like it was 10 minutes before you even noticed he was there. And then when you started talking to him, you realized he had a lot of tendencies of an introvert. He was kind of an introverted guy. So for him to get on the radio and do what he did and do it so effectively was just a testament to the talent the man had. I love the cartoons about Rush going up to the pearly gates, and he's handing the microphone over to St. Peter saying, returning the talent that's on loan from God. And then the article about there was an article finally about who's going to replace Rush, and they have people. Some of the names I knew and some of the names I didn't honestly know. And of course there's never going to be a replacement for Rush, but who's going to replace him in his time slot? They got to put something in the time slot. You can't run best ofs forever. So what are you going to do? And I don't know. It was just the article ended by saying, basically God hasn't seen fit to loan that talent to anybody else just yet. But we'll figure it out when we figure it out. So I really appreciate you guys. It's nowhere near that level for me. Obviously I'm not changing people's lives and stuff here, but the fact that you all are here and listening really means a lot to me, and it's something that humbles me every day, every weekend. I appreciate it. Thank you. Be safe out there and have a wonderful weekend. Bye now.